Welcome to another edition of Len's Burning Bush. I am Len Harvey. Before I bring on my guest for the week, I want to talk about what's really burning my bush. It's that time of the year. November 7th comes. Daylight savings time ends at 2 a.m. and the clocks go backward 1 hour. Now, sunrise and sunset, of course, will be an hour earlier on November 7th, and some of you will be listening after the time change, but that's fine. I just wanted to get into the details here. There's more light in the morning when we do this. So I have a couple of questions, of course, that I always ponder during this time. How come we don't celebrate daylight savings time? We celebrate the new year by having a New Year's Eve party, and maybe we need to drop a ball at about 1:59 and start daylight savings rocking Eve. Why? We even change it at 2 a.m., which I don't understand. We can move it to midnight and then start a party then. And even greater would be it moved to 11 o'clock and maybe you can get to bed a little bit earlier. So I'm always about the party. And I also would like to understand a few other things. If it's 10:30 a.m. on Sunday morning, but it feels like 11:30 a.m., I would prefer to feel like Friday versus Sunday. But that's just my opinion. And if we're truly falling back, can we go back to when I was thin and young? That would be a lot better. The one benefit of technology today is we got newer technology when we have to turn the clocks back. No more VCRs blinking at 12 a.m. with no one being able to set it. So, but as usual in this episode, I want to teach a few things in terms of the change. So I went to the New York Times. There's an article about the 2021 daylight savings time. And as most of you would expect, most Americans really don't like the confusing disruption and ritual that we do of changing the clocks twice a year. But they're split on what system they prefer, whether they like it in March or do they like it in November, right? So this is kind of interesting. A bipartisan group of senators, kind of an oxymoron, reintroduced a bill to get rid of a standard time, get rid of it totally, and make daylight time permanent. He followed the lead of 19 states that passed similar legislation. But others, scientists who study sleep and biological rhythms, especially argue that daylight savings, or daylight time rather, should be scrapped. So of course we really need to know, why do we even do this in the first place? Most people always say it's the farmers and we need kids to go to school early or whatever, but that is not the reason. I'm going to explain. So the origins of daylight time were traced back to Benjamin Franklin, who in 1784, in an essay, suggested that the city of Paris could save millions of pounds of candle wax each year if Parisians would wake up earlier in the morning and went to bed earlier at night. But it actually wasn't until World War I that the idea gained serious political momentum. In 1916, the German government embraced moving the clocks forward as a means of saving energy. And that was according to David Perot, the author of Seize the Daylight. And soon England and much of the rest of Europe followed suit, as did the United States. In March of 1918, Congress enacted the Standard Time Act, which defined the country's time zones. But it wasn't until 1966 that the Uniform Time Act took place in 1966, which established daylight time through most of the country, although Arizona and Hawaii are still the remaining holdout states. So today, Standard Time is only in effect, which is interesting, for 4 months between November and March. So it's very interesting. So here's kind of what most people think because of energy, right? But the twice yearly switch no longer saves much energy, but it does take a serious toll on people's health. And according to a 2017 study, the transition from daylight time to standard time is associated with 11% increase in depressive episodes. So people get a little bit more depressed during this whole time. Now, getting rid of standard time, which would be preferable, would mean you would wake up. Sometimes it would be slightly darker outside, but you also would get more sunlight in daytime after 5. And Ben Yakus, who wrote for The Gothamist in 2019, said, ask yourself if you're more likely to be outside in the world at 7:30 in the morning or 5:30 p.m., and then you'll know where you fall on the issue. Now, I prefer to have more light later after work. So let's just pick one and just get rid of it. And let's get rid of the meme with Cher that says, if I could turn back time. Now that I got that earworm in your head, it's time to bring on my guest for the week. She has had a 20-year career as a radio personality on Long Island, currently a voiceover actor, blogger. Please welcome the very talented Kara Reifert to Len's Burning Bush. Kara, how are you? And are you as annoyed like me with the stupid time change? I can't stand it.
Len, this is like the topic of choice for me because I cannot stand it. Talk about depressed. And thank you, by the way, for having me on this morning.
Oh, you're welcome.
Appreciate it. It gets dark at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I just want to sit on the couch and go to bed and cry. I mean, talk about, I love summer. I love when it's daylight till 9 o'clock at night. The sun rises earlier in the day. It's like, oh yes, I can be productive and face the world. Now it's like, oh, do I have to leave the house?
Exactly. There was a meme I saw this week that said, normally in the summer at like 7 o'clock, you're looking out and you still have plenty of time for light and you're getting excited. And then they show the same person during at 7 o'clock with their pajamas on, getting ready to go to bed.
That's exactly right, because you feel like it's midnight. Last night, it was Friday night, I'm in my house, and I thought I'm not even exaggerating. I seriously thought it was midnight. It was 7:30.
Yeah.
I said, it's 7:30. I'm ready for bed.
I know. Wait till that clock goes back. You're going to have, this situation where I live at the end of the Eastern time zone. So luckily it doesn't get dark till 5:15, 5:30 in the, during this whole time change where when I lived in New York and New Jersey, it was 4:30. You're right. It's awful.
Oh. It's terrible. And you can tell the sun is starting to shift even earlier than that. Like 3 o'clock, it's already starting. And it's just really bad. It's really not good.
No. So what's the big complaint? So I've noticed that even at my house at like 7:30, it's still pretty dark out right now. So obviously it's going to be 6:30 when we do the time change. But what's the big deal? So I other than sleeping through your alarm because it's so dark in the house, what is the the kids going to school in the dark? Is that why people get upset over this? I just don't get it. I don't get the.
Well, for me personally, when I did mornings, I found it was a lot easier in the summertime to wake up at 3 a.m.
Yes.
Because when I would get to work at 4:30 in the morning, the sky would be brightening already. So it kind of felt normal because you're getting up with the sun, which is how it's supposed to be. However, this time of the year, the sun doesn't come up until 7:30 a.m. So you're halfway done with your workday at that point, and it's still dark.
Yeah.
So it screws, to me, it like screws with your, your rhythm or whatever.
It does. And then there's always those people, and this drives me crazy. You always have those friends that will post on Facebook, oh, it's so great to get that extra hour of sleep, or you lose an hour of sleep. Hello, it's one day. It's not like come on. Do they not understand this?
No, and then I think what happens, Len, is that 1 hour, it kind of screws you up for like a couple of weeks because your body is readjusting. So I don't really see the point in today's world why we have to do this. Can't we just keep it?
Yeah, I believe me, I would be the first in line to just let's do this in March. If we're going to switch it, let's switch it in March, and then let's not switch it again.
I totally agree, 100%.
Because I think it's, like I said, the worst case scenario on November the 6th, you wake up and it's 7:30 in the morning and it's still dark out. Okay. Can you live with that? I mean, but then, eventually it's going to get to a point where it's lighter again. It's going to, if you just leave it where it is.
Right.
We're never satisfied with leaving anything where it is. And I think that's the biggest problem.
Yeah, I think you're right. We always... Why did we change that?
Well, there's so many stupid traditions that we do that we don't need to do anymore. Like, I just don't understand it. Like, we changed the one change I've hated that we changed, but we keep this stupid time change, is that in our area and other places south, and they start school so damn early now. So it's always been a pet peeve of mine. We start school in August, which kills the summer. They actually, in Michigan, stopped it. They said, you know what, we can't start till after Labor Day because it kills our tourism. And I just don't understand why we have to do that. We change school to August, but we can't change the stupid time thing. We can't, that we can do. And that's more screw up than anything else.
You know what? When you put it that way, I 100% agree. I never understood that when I see my friends on Facebook and they're in different parts of the country and it's like the middle of August and first day of school.
Yeah, I know.
And I think to myself, are you serious? It's 3 weeks till Labor Day. Like, don't you want to have a one last vacation? And how do you plan with your family members who are out of state if you want to see them? Everybody's on a different schedule. It's just so crazy.
Well, this day and age, I think we can agree that you could figure out a schedule for school that ends Memorial Day and starts Labor Day. I mean, there's no reason why you couldn't put 180 days or whatever the number is and figure out how you can get to and cut some of these stupid breaks that they have, like just Thursday, Friday teachers convention or whatever the stupid thing is. Let them do their convention in May through September, and they can,
and let the go to class until May and then go back.
Because life is hard enough. I mean, when you get old like us, I mean, I just feel like it's so hard to be an adult, and it sucks to be an adult. And they're making these kids like be miserable way before they need to be miserable.
Speaking of being miserable, when we were kids, we had snow days, and it was exciting because it actually meant a snow day. But now, with all the remote learning, when the kids are home, I think some of the school districts actually said, no, you can actually get a snow day. It's important, I think, for kids to be kids and have that fun. If you're to be doing schoolwork, even on a day like that, it takes away from your childhood and the experiences, in my opinion.
One of the benefits of living in the Northeast is to have those snow days. And I just don't get it, like why you have to take everything away with the remote learning. That just, first of all, they don't even know how to do it. Most of these schools don't know how to do the remote learning. It's like, it'd be easy just to have a classroom virtually and just have the teacher actually teach like they would, in a normal day. But they don't do that. They do assignments, and they make the kids just sit there and have no direction other than, a few things here and there. And I think they really blew it, which they could have, again, using all the technology, Zoom and whatever, they could have a Zoom classroom. And it's hard to sit at a computer for 6 hours, but they could take breaks, and they could have a schedule where you have a 30-minute class versus a 40-minute class. They could have done that a little bit better. And I think they made all the kids kind of hate. I know my daughter couldn't stand the online, and she didn't do very well, and the grades suffered because of it. When you have that. So there's this whole thing. We change stupid things, and we don't change the ones that easily could be changed.
Well put. I agree.
It's crazy. So I don't know if you've seen this, but your iPhone. Did you have the new iPhone yet? Do you have the 12?
Of course, I have the 12. I didn't get the 13.
Good. Me neither.
Yeah, but I needed to have the 12, and I needed to get the big one. So it's, I guess it's the Max. I can't even keep up.
Yeah, I've got the Pro. I didn't get the Pro Max, but I got the Pro, the one before it, because it didn't make sense to spend the extra $100 on the other one. I think but I had the 12 also, and the reason I got the 12 is because I had an 8, and I wanted to get the 5G phone, and I went ahead and the 13 was coming out in a month or two. But I was like, you know what? My luck, it'll be Christmas before I get it. And I'm like, because my son's still waiting for his 13. He ordered it a few weeks ago, and it's like November 20th or something. Everything is on back order, and you can never get anything. So I decided to get it. But there's a new feature, I don't know if you've seen on these phones now, that are allowing you not to be tracked. Have you noticed that?
I heard about it, but I try to do it on my phone. Do I have to go to settings or something?
Well, it comes up. Anytime you open up the app, it'll say to you, do you want this to be tracked? And you can say no right away. And what's kind of cool about that is, people don't want to be tracked, but there's a cost involved in this. I don't know if you know this, but apparently Facebook is really losing money because of this. So this is interesting. So I saw an article, with this, it has merged the Apple's App Tracking Transparency, ATT, features which cut down the ability to track you on your iPhone. It's costing social media firms $10 billion in lost revenue. And this is not just Facebook. This has got as, it's kind of interesting. It's even gone to like a company like Peloton, who likes the idea of tracking and can keep things, the stupid Peloton where they charge you $2,000 to basically be a clothes hanger, right?
Yeah. Right. Exactly. It just sits there. Nobody uses it.
But Peloton reporting a loss of $376 million through September, and they're blaming this whole iPhone thing with the tracking. Yeah.
See, you're very informative, Len. I had no idea about
Well, this is why you come on the show, to learn. I try to teach people things in addition to being, miserable. But
Oh,
but there is, I like the idea of not being tracked because everybody's always complaining, oh, they're tracking. Meanwhile, they're posting all their pictures on Facebook and Instagram anyway.
well, that's the whole thing. You're putting it all out there for people to see. And once it's out there, it lives there. I mean, even, do you remember the Wayback Machine with the internet with old websites? Even
Yeah.
if the website is gone, you can still find stuff from like 20 years ago. So, I mean, we're pretty much beyond that point, I think. We're under a microscope. We really are. That movie with Jim Carrey, right? What the
Yeah.
heck was that? That's what it is.
Yeah. No, we're just watching it. It was Truman, the
Yeah,
Truman.
Truman Show. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, look at that. I had no idea, but no, it's kind of interesting. We are so in our phones, and so everything is well. I was talking with friends last night, and we were talking about going to a hockey game.
Okay.
And how most people will sit there and watch the game, but now today's people do not watch the game. They sit there on their phone. I was complaining about this. I went to I took my son to New York to see the Yankees and to see the Mets. We went end of July, early August. We went to see. Unfortunately, the Mets lost and the Yankees lost.
Oh.
But that what was interesting, I noticed on the screens at both ballparks, follow the Mets on the app, follow the Yankees on the app, and then during game we will do this and we'll do that. And I'm like, I basically yelled out, "Get off your damn phone and watch the game. You're at a beautiful ballpark and you got a beer in your hand. Like, get off the friggin' phone."
But you know what, Len? It's become an addiction. Do you
It
remember
is.
when Facebook went down for 6 hours?
Yes, I did an episode on that, the Facebook Instagram outage. Yes.
I was losing my mind. I'm not even kidding. That's when I realized how big of a problem I have because I am like, I need to look. I need to check what's going on. You feel so disconnected, but it's so unhealthy. You're right. You need to experience these moments when you're out with your family, when you're at the game. Enjoy. You got the sun beating down on you. Have an ice cold beer and a hot dog. But no, I got to take a picture of the hot dog. I got to make sure it's the perfect, angle. Put it on Instagram.
Pictures are, I mean, still don't like to take pictures. I like to remember the event myself, and I'm not a big picture guy.
Okay.
I don't do that. Everybody else does it for me. Like if you go with other people and they tag you and their pictures, like they all do it. And it's like, oh, we check in here. And I hate that. I don't want people to know everything. I mean, there's got to be a little bit of mystery.
Right.
I feel like with the whole phone thing, everybody's just so wrapped up. And you talk about that, Facebook, Instagram. We need to go back to like the 70s when we had 4 channels of TV and that was it. I mean, you didn't have anything. You just had to go outside and play.
Right. And if you had a favorite show, if you missed it on Tuesday, oh well, before VCRs, it was like,
You're out of luck.
I know.
Now we're binge watching everything. Hell, I'm going back. I went back and I'm watching The Sopranos again because because of the movie, the prequel. I decided to watch it again because I saw the prequel, and I'm watching The Sopranos again.
I see you're gonna laugh at me. I saw a few episodes of The Sopranos, but I never actually watched the series.
Oh, you're dead to me. That's it. It's over.
I'm sorry.
It's over. Our
I heard
relationship.
about the ending, but
our relationship is over. It's
I'm
over.
sorry.
No, I'm just kidding. I just love that kind of stuff. And I did an episode with a friend of mine, Brian Pitts. He was on. We did a mob episode, and I kind of knew that David Chase was going to do this movie and then maybe do a prequel series because that would makes sense. But it's tremendous. He did a really good job. The show is good. If you haven't seen it, you probably should watch a few episodes. You'll like it. You'll get hit because it's kind of you see your area. Obviously New Yorkers and New Jersey are portrayed in it. So it's a great show.
see, I love that. I always love watching TV shows that have Long Island or something in it, like Manifest. They film a lot of it at Republic Airport in Farmingdale, which is right where the radio station is that I used to work at. So I'm like watching the show and I said, oh my God, I see Stu Leonard's in the background. I see all these places. It's so cool. And then they're in Massapequa and they're talking about all this stuff. So I love that.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of nice to be able to have some of your hometown stuff. And I guess people in the other parts of the country don't really care. But,
they don't.
But what's interesting is, I liked as a kid the show WKRP in Cincinnati.
Yes.
And I, didn't realize I would eventually move. But when you go back and watch it again, it's kind of cool to see, oh, wow, I know that's the bridge. And, it's kind of cool now to see all the things that now you live here, but that was to me, that was the best radio show ever, right?
Oh, it was so spot on. And
Yeah.
it's funny, I used to watch it in the reruns, I guess. Well, it was on a long time, but Fox 5 used to play all those shows like WKRP, Three's Company, Different Strokes. So I would watch them, and I never, at that point, I didn't think that I would work in radio. And then I should really go back and watch it now. Because like you're saying, because you're, where you live now, it's like fresh eyes.
Well, what's interesting is in watching The Sopranos, and this is the third time I'm going through it. So when it was on, I watched it. And then maybe about 5 years or 4 years after, I watched it again. And now I'm watching it again through all 6 seasons. And I'm watching it and I'm like, there's things I don't remember even after watching it twice. So it's kind of nice to watch something again, to see an episode that you might have thought whatever, but it's kind of cool to look back at that.
Well, see, my favorite show of all time is Moonlighting with Bruce Willis and Sylvester Stallone. That was done on like a single camera. It was shot more like a movie. And that's the same thing. I can't even tell you how many times I've seen each episode, but there are still some things that you miss because you may be looking at the background or you may be listening to the music or the dialogue, and then they may have a little Easter egg or something in there that you missed the first time. Because some people don't get, what, you already saw that once. Why do you need to watch it again? So I'm glad that you share my view with, repeated watching is a necessity.
Although I still don't, I do agree with watching something again, but these people that have these, it's just like a Seinfeld episode. You put a book on a bookshelf. Why do you need to read it again? Once you've read a book, but again, I guess people look at it the same way we look at the TV shows as the reason why you'd want to reread a book.
Yeah, I think so. And that's just the way somebody writes or somebody just really is enamored with their style or something and the story. It just,
Plus, most of our attention is never there all the time. So
goes back to being on your phone, because I know sometimes I have my phone right there and I'm watching a TV show. It's like, oh, wait, is someone texting me? Oh, did I get a notification on Facebook? No, put your phone down and pay attention.
We are really bad in our house and we do it, and I can't stand it. And I've got to be better. We got to get rid of, there's too much crutches with the phone. We're worried about, like, now I've got the watch, and, you can get the notifications on your watch, and it's
Do you have the Apple Watch?
Yes.
I was thinking about getting it, but maybe I shouldn't.
Well, if I would say that I'd like to make an appointment for you with a therapist, and we can, maybe talk about how you're using your phone too much, and then maybe use the watch with limited, just kind of do little baby steps. We can
little baby steps.
Yeah, because you need to just take care of you. That's what we got to do. We got to make sure we take care of you.
Self-care. Okay.
I care.
Okay.
So why don't you explain to the listening audience? You've been all over the place on Long Island. You worked at K-Joy, Walk, all of these great stations that we do. You've been on the morning show at K-Joy. What was interesting, I saw something on there and on your bio, which I didn't. I loved it if it's true, but it said something. It said karaoke machine. What?
Oh.
What is that? Do you actually do you karaoke? Because if you do, we're going out.
Oh, yes, I do. I actually love it. I don't know if the audience likes it, but I do. But I used to actually bring it on the morning show. I used to do karaoke as part of a contest. I would sing a couple of lyrics, and I would have my listeners call, and they'd have to sing the rest of the lyric in order to win the prize.
Oh, God,
it
that
was
is fantastic.
Fun. It was so fun.
So I did traffic on one of these stations back in the day, and I worked on a morning show on Long Island, and I was working for Metro. And I was part of the morning show where I did a similar thing where it was a trivia contest, because I had won a trivia contest when I was away on vacation, and they thought it'd be a good idea to like stump Len on television trivia or something. So we did this for about a couple of weeks, and it was questions that were being asked. And after a certain point, I had to look up stuff because people were getting very granular with the questions. But I like the idea of the karaoke. I think that's terrific.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely go out and do something.
I'm not going to put you on the spot, but yes, I am. So we need to do a song. So share with, if I could turn back time, since we've done this, we got to get the earworm in. And
no.
We should get. Is there any song that's your go-to song?
Oh, geez. I mean, I love Fleetwood Mac and Stevie Nicks. So, I mean, probably Dreams. I mean, it's so overdone, but like when I was younger, I used to do Shania Twain, man. I feel like a woman.
Wow. I feel like a
A
woman.
woman. Yeah.
Yeah, there
But
you
yeah.
go.
Yeah.
See, my go-to is Sweet Caroline.
Oh, Neil
I
Diamond.
do that a lot. I actually have friends, and Blue Jelly is a band that they were on the show, and they allow me every year on or close to my wife and I. We have the birthdays are pretty close, so we go. They only play one time a year. They'll do Neil Diamond for me, and I get up and sing with them.
Is
And
there video?
there's video. There's video.
Oh,
This is something somebody took in the day, but I this past year I did it in April and I added some of the new Neil Diamond lyrics, like because you want to make sure you're washing your hands and it's like don't touch me and I won't
right.
touch you, right? Yeah.
Keep your
Yeah, keep
distance.
your distance. Get away from me. Yeah, don't touch
Yeah.
me. Instead of touching hands, don't touch
Yes.
my hands. So I did that instead. But it was I love doing it. I love everybody's kind of a. I always remember the Eddie Murphy or somebody. Everybody's a frustrated singer. They all want to be singers, right?
Right? I would love to have been a singer. I love to entertain. I love that feeling you get with audiences. That's why I love doing appearances when I worked in radio. That was one of my favorite things about the job was getting out and meeting people. Because sometimes it gets a little lonely, especially if you're in the studio by yourself and it's, dark or whatever. And, I much prefer to engage with people for
Well,
sure.
especially now, I think it's even worse because you feel like you're just sitting there behind the scenes, and to get out and meet people again and to do all that, it's good that we can do that now.
It is. And let me tell you, when I first was leaving the house, when we were allowed to do this, it's a little, it makes you tired fast because you're not really used to it. You have to reacclimate yourself to what that's like.
Yeah. I tell you, it's kind of interesting. But why don't you give out your website? I know you've got some good stuff on your website, and you do some voiceovers, which I'm sure you have now. Sarah, who I had on from Seattle, is a friend of mine. She did. She works with Danny Bonaducci in the morning show, and she does. I think it's Dirty Weather with Sarah or something like that. It's like
Dirty weather.
Yeah, there's just like she just starts talking. She goes, we got a cold front coming in to the east. Whatever. It's like Dirty Weather with Sarah. So, is there anything that you have on your that you've done that you maybe can or cannot talk about on your voiceovers?
There was a commercial that I did. I wish I still had it. It was probably 20 years ago. It was the Little Hair House. Instead of, Dolly Parton was in a little, yeah. And then I did a commercial for Extremes. Sometimes the things, and that was on the Shark because that was a little bit more tough and we could get away with a little bit more stuff on the Shark than on K-Joy. K-Joy is more like, come join us at the Fall Festival.
Yeah.
But so it was always kind of interesting when you would get the copy from the sales department for their client and then you would read it and be like, wait, this is for work? Like, you really want me to read this? And then my friends would hear it and they would be like, what is that? You get paid to do this?
Yeah.
And then it'd always be expected coming from me too, because I don't not that you should say people look a certain way that you would expect it, to be stereotypical or something, but like it was unexpected. So yeah, Extremes is on my Instagram. I don't think I've uploaded that to my onairwithkara.com website, but maybe I should.
You should. I think people would like to hear that. Extremes. What's the weirdest place that you ended up, like where your voice ended up? Is there any, like, I know I did a phone system for a company. I did that once where my voice was the phone system.
Yeah, I'm doing that now actually for Hicks Nurseries.
Yeah.
They hired me as their voice person. So I love it because I can do it from my house. I just email them. I mean, this is, again, technology can be great.
Yes. It can be a crutch, but it can be great. I agree with you.
Yeah. The weirdest thing my voice ended up, I won't say my voice, but the weirdest thing or the most out of place it seemed for me to do an appearance was at a Harley Davidson store. I didn't seem to be the best representative to go there, but.
You would think that I wouldn't be either. So here's a funny story. We just got into motorcycles in our 50s. So
wow.
I have a Harley in my garage for my son. He rides that. I have an Indian motorcycle, and my wife has a Honda. So we have three different motorcycles in there. But we actually, I've got Harley gear, I've got boots, I've got it all. So the fact that you brought that up is kind of fortuitous, is the word.
Yeah,
Fortuitous?
really.
Yeah.
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 Oh, maybe I could try and actually ride a motorcycle, although I don't know if that would go well.
Well, it's been tough for me, but I'm getting much better at it. Like in the beginning, because I never even rode a stick shift car, so it was
either.
yeah. So it takes a little bit, but I'll tell you, it's kind of cool, and as long as you do it safely, it is quite excellent.
Well, see, that's what gets me. Long Island is so congested, and Southern State, and some of these roads are some of the most dangerous roads in the country. And people are, they're speeding now. I feel people have gotten really even more reckless than ever on the roads. So I always feel for the motorcycle people because they're not protected.
No, it's awful, and I think the whole people on their phone thing still. It's like they've got to do something. I don't know what they can do in terms of getting people off their phones in their cars. But what I find interesting is even with the newer cars, you'll see people with the phone up to their ear. I'm like, you don't have Bluetooth in that damn car? Or even if you don't, you can hook it up. I mean, it's not that hard.
Right. I don't understand that. I mean, with all the technology that exists in these new cars, they have the lane assist, It doesn't want you to cross over if there's another car coming. So, yeah, it seems a little strange that people are still holding their phones.
I think they have to block, like there's got to be a way to block the phone to get data while you're in the car. Like in terms of being able to look at your Facebook page and look at all that stuff, there's got to be a way they can turn it off in the car so that you can't look at it while you're driving.
Right, because you do have something, at least on my phone, it comes up like you can't access this now, you're driving. But then you could just say, no, I'm not driving. And the phone's like, okay. And then it gives you access again.
I know. So there's got to be a way between the car the ignition and everything, and there's got to be a way. We got to figure that out. But I don't know how we fix this. I think it's so bad now. There's more accidents now than ever because of distracted driving.
No, you're 100%, Len. It's really disturbing. There was an article in Newsday about Long Island, and I think they had the most traffic deaths since 2006 or something. It was some staggering statistic, and it was like, wow. But you see it when I'm out on the road. I see it. Yeah. I enjoy going out on a Sunday and be like, hey, you want to go for a ride and listen to music? It was relaxing. It's not relaxing anymore. No. I mean, I grab that steering wheel and I am constantly, nervous about what's going to happen because people are just so crazy and distracted, like you said.
The one thing that I do like about the motorcycle portion is that when you go out, I'm not in a hurry. I'm not, and I think your attitude is different. And, like, let the guy pass you. It's just fun. I'm just trying to get the wind, in my face. I'm just enjoying it. And I find it's very relaxing because all I'm focusing on is how to ride the motorcycle, or to, instead of worrying about my phone or worrying about, like, it's a half an hour or whatever it is. It's that time that maybe this could be good for you. Instead of going to therapy, we'll get you on a motorcycle so you put your phone away. I don't want you mounting your phone to the bike. We're gonna cut it so you don't have to look at your phone, and you'll get your Facebook and all that stuff after you ride.
Okay. So can this be our next podcast? Can it be rides Len's motorcycle?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. We'll get that going.
I'm down.
So I wanted to bring this up to you because I saw this and I was pretty disturbed by it, and I got to get this in before we end today. Did you see that Kim Kardashian and Pete Davidson apparently are dating? Now, this guy, Pete Davidson, I mean, he had Ariana Grande. He had all these people. Have you looked at Pete Davidson lately?
Len, it escapes me. But, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, I guess. I mean, I don't understand it. I don't see the appeal, but, okay. I mean, Kim was also married to Kanye, so I didn't get that one either.
Yeah, I don't get it. She's a beautiful woman. They apparently were getting affection, according to TMZ, of course, TMZ. But witnesses at both the Zero Bond and Campania tell us at least the two appeared very comfortable with each other, displaying a lot of affection. And we're told Pete was charming, even with Kim's friends. But Kardashian did not invite Pete to Paris Hilton's wedding to Carter Reun on Thursday. So I think it's not like they're fully dating yet. I guess maybe they're just having fun. I don't know.
They're just hanging out. There's so many terms now too. It's like we're talking, we're hanging out, we're dating. We're not officially dating. We're not in a relationship. We're what's the other word? Like friends with benefit. I mean, it's like
hook up. Yeah. Upside down pineapple. I don't know. There's a lot of things that we could talk. Speaking of upside down pineapple, I saw this morning and I was going to put the article up, but I didn't want to get too graphic on it, but I saw there is an app for this now.
no.
Now, do you know what the upside down pineapple means?
Well, my sister-in-law informed me of this because my mother loves pineapples because she thinks it means, excuse me, welcome.
Yeah.
But apparently for some people it means swingers.
Yes. And now there's apparently a feed or some kind of feed, kind of like Tinder, I guess. There's a feed that you can do. I mean, this is out of control.
God. For people who are into
the pineapple. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to go there. I saw that and I thought of it after obviously the whole Kim Kardashian and Pete Davidson.
Yeah, that is one union. I don't get that at all. No,
I don't know where everybody finds this guy talented. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be mean, but I just don't see it.
I don't see it either. I mean, and he has a lot of issues, I think, not to put that down. I mean, but that he seems that he needs to work through himself. So I don't know. I don't know. It escapes me. I'm just going to leave it at that. I don't.
Well, I understand.
But if you're happy.
No, exactly. God bless them if they're happy. That's why I look at it. As long as she's not on TV anymore, I'm good.
Oh God, I could never watch that. It's just such garbage.
It is a lot of garbage. But this is not garbage, and you can follow Lens Burning Bush on Facebook at Lens Burning Bush. You can also follow on Twitter, which you did, at Lens Burning Bush. I also have a YouTube channel where I take all of the audio and I upload it up. It's Lenny L 1015. You can search Lens Burning Bush and find the YouTube page. Please subscribe because no one does. It's just I
will.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it. But you can listen to all these episodes on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Podbean, iHeartRadio. You can even ask Alexa to play Lens Burning Bush. And make sure, Kara, when you do, you say Lens Burning Bush Podcast because I don't know what comes up. Tanya Memi asked me a couple weeks ago, she goes, where did you come up with the name Lens Burning Bush? Because when you first approached me, I was a little concerned, like what it really meant.
I didn't know if it was like biblical or something about I'm like, what am I getting myself into here?
Yeah, no, it's just irritating things that bother me. So that's kind of where it came from. But Lens Burning, but it does look biblical because you see the Moses picture. But it's just, I thought that was kind of funny. That's why
I like it.
That's why I used it. But anyway, we're on Stitcher, Pandora. We are all over the place. Kara, it has been a pleasure. I would love to have you on again when you get the motorcycle thing ready. We'll have you on again, and maybe let me know how the therapy session goes with the phone.
All right.
We need to get you kind of off of it. Sometimes if you do cold turkey, that might work.
I don't know if I could do that. I gotta wean myself slowly.
All
okay.
Right.
Small steps, Len. Small steps.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on. Thanks to Kara Reifert. I'm Len Harvey, back with another episode of Lens Burning Bush next week. So long.